Hi, Chris McClune here with Fire Apparatus and Emergency Equipment. Welcome to this episode of FEMSA Focus. With me today is James Long. He is a past president of FEMSA, and also Karen Emery, who is currently serving as vice president of FEMSA. Thank you both for coming on today. We're going to talk about dealers, and we're going to talk a little bit about how important FEMSA is to dealers, how important dealers are to the fire service, it's a timely topic, I think, because we've spent a lot of time, especially this year, talking about lead times on fire trucks, costs of fire trucks, and all these different things. And so we've really been focusing on OEMs a lot this year. But there's an entire dealer network for every OEM out there that is critically important to what we do in the fire service. And whether it's the dealers for the OEM truck manufacturers or loose equipment dealers, we could be talking about SCBA, extrication equipment, a myriad of dealers out there. So I'm going to start off with you, James, and just with so many of those topics revolving around that, the dealer's role in this overall process has, it recently been a little overshadowed. Talk about how integral dealers are, large and small, to the overall purchasing process for fire departments.
Sure, absolutely, Chris. Thanks for having me on. It's a pleasure to be on. I got to tell you, this is the first time I've ever done a podcast before. Could be my very last. We'll see how it goes. As long as you got that 3-second delay button, I think things will probably turn out okay here this afternoon. I think a lot of people would sit back and say, what does a distributor do? Why doesn't the factory sell direct? Why doesn't a Pierce Manufacturing or a Firedex? Why don't they just go out to the firefighters and sell direct? What is the role or what is the place of distributor? And when you go back and you think, I'm gonna relate this to what we do in the day-to-day business, some of the biggest, most successful companies in the United States are not manufacturers, they're dealers and distributors. So if you shop at Walmart, guess what? Walmart doesn't make all those products that are on the shelves. And if you're more high tech and you buy online, and you probably, who hasn't bought from Amazon, those are also distributors and dealers. So there is a role in there for very highly successful companies. I think back to, if we just hit all the factories selling direct, thinking about supermarkets and grocery shopping, and you have the advantage today, there's so many regional chains, and so many of those are terrific grocery stores that have abundance of goods. But what if everything was factory direct, and we had the farmers coming into a farmer's market and bringing in, whether it's eggs or milk or produce or vegetables or whatever it was? That's not going to be on the scale of what we have today. So right off the bat, one of the advantages that dealers and distributors have is a variety of products that they can offer. It becomes a one-stop shop where all kinds of people can come together and they can have a huge amount of products. So it really becomes a convenience issue to have all the products under one roof. And that's why companies like Amazon and Walmart are so successful today. We have a little time. I'm going to talk a little bit about, I'm in a unique position. I'm with Darley. I've been with Darley for over 35 years. And we are both a manufacturer and distributor. So for part of the conversation, I'm going to wear my manufacturer's hat. Part of it, I'm going to say, this is my distribution hat. And also, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the voice of the customers. What makes sense for the customers, and how does that interaction between those parties make sense for all of us?
Karen, what about you? When you look at this and you look about basically your role, much like James just talked about, talk about how integral your company is also to the purchasing process for fire departments.
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with education. So what we're able to do, and I think I would consider myself a small mom and pop, as opposed to Darley, which is a much bigger distributor. And I think we both have a lot of value in what we're trying to accomplish. But for me, being a small mom and pop, I feel it's really important that I'm able to communicate with my customers what's changing in the industry. So firefighters and first responders, they have a much bigger job than just making purchases for equipment. Equipment's very important, but what they're trying to accomplish on the fire scene or EMS scene, really, this should be a minimal time for them to worry about NFPA changes and all those other things that are coming down the pike. So what I like to do is try to inform myself on what's going on in the industry so they purchase from me and I can give them education in addition to why they want to make one decision versus another. And other really important thing that I feel being a distributor is that I'm able to let the manufacturers know what's happening, the boots on the ground, the people that are out there, what they need, what they actually need, as opposed to what a manufacturer might not be touching the end user. It's great for me to be able to communicate back and forth between. And FEMSA is an amazing group of people where we're all doing that, at least once a year in a room, communicating between manufacturers, distributors, and dealers. And so I feel that really benefits the end user on what's available for them, what options they have, and help get the right things in their hands, from the manufacturers.
So not only not only making the product available, but going above and beyond that. It seems like, and that was kind of, you actually led me very nicely right into to another question I had about what dealers do beyond supplying trucks and equipment. And it sounds like a major component of that, just beyond supplying the trucks and equipment, is being that communication arm between your customers and the OEMs, whoever, whatever they're making, and kind of keeping both sides informed on what's going on.
Definitely. I was thinking of it as like pharmaceutical reps. I was just going to say, doctors have pharmaceutical reps that come in all the time, right? And they're educating on the medications and that sort of thing. A firefighter is concerned about fighting a fire and all those other things that go with it. So if we can educate and give them information, I do feel it goes a long way, rather than just clicking a few buttons.
James, what about you in terms of what the dealers are bringing to the table and supplying beyond trucks and equipment? What are what are the other things that they bring to the fire service beyond that supplying aspect?
Sure, I agree completely with what Karen has just offered. I wanted to just tell you a little bit of story. I mentioned that Darley is both a manufacturer and distributor. And we started off down the distribution path. My grandfather, W.S. Darley, started the business in 1908. He was influenced by the Great Chicago Fire. And back in the day, things were very unsafe. They had a lot of kerosene lamps. They had a lot of fires. So he had this vision to start a business that would cater to the fire and safety industry and also all municipalities. So it was a catalog business after Sears and Roebuck. It had municipal items in it, had firefighting equipment, but police as well. But really what took off, the business that really took off was that fire business. So by the 1920s, as technology had been able to hit and touch so many of our lives, there's an awesome show, The Men That Have Built America. And there's a lot of episodes after that, The Food That Built America and The Products That Built America. But can you imagine, in a very quick period of time, all of a sudden we had electricity, which we didn't have. We had railroads, which we didn't have. We had steel to make bridges and buildings and so forth. And you had all these tycoons that were really, really impactful and changed society. And one of them was Henry Ford. So by the 1920s, as Darley's firefighting equipment as a distributor business grew, he saw a need to get into building fire trucks. And the fire service, again, in the late 1800s, didn't have automotive type vehicles that were driven by combustion engine. They were horse and buggy, and they're smaller, or whatever. So the manufacturers gradually adapted their product, but they were all one-off. They were all custom built. So Darley thought this was a great opportunity to take advantage of what Henry Ford had done in a period of maybe 20 years, where it was now mass producing commercial chassis. So he could deliver to the industry a truck that was faster delivery, that was cheaper, and probably had better quality. Now, the manufacturers, they didn't like that, and at that time, they wouldn't sell Darley a pump. So if we were going to stay in the industry and sell fire trucks, which we thought was a great opportunity for us, we had to do something else. And what we did is W.S. Darley just hired away one of the chief engineers at a pump company. We started making our own pumps so that we could stay in that space and make pumps and fire trucks. Well, that led into World War II, where we did a lot of government work, and those trucks and pumps were left overseas. And after the war ended, as we were doing things more on a direct basis, we got phone calls from all over the world saying, we love your pump. It's super reliable. We want American products. We want to buy and be a distributor for you outside the United States. So that was a really big advantage. Here we are making these products, we're selling, but guess what? It's a long way, particularly in the 1940s, we'll say, to get to China, to get to New Zealand, to get to Africa, to get to Europe. And if we had an agency there that spoke the language, that knew the customs, that knew how to deal with those local firefighters, that would be a win-win. So that was really an opportunity for Darley to open the doors and to focus and to be able to build an strong international dealer network. But it was just because people knocked on our door and they came to us and said, hey, we'd like to sell your products. And that was a win-win. That was where this whole relationship started. We shifted from just a distributor to distributor and manufacturer, began to grow from there.
You just mentioned dealer networks. And, on my side of the fire service where I'm covering, the market, I'm always hearing about the dealer training, and really building those robust networks to help serve the fire service. How important is that? How important is knowing that whatever you're buying has a strong dealer network in place? Karen, how important is that?
Well, I think it's very important. I mean, just having that dealer communication. I don't explain. I mean, I'm going to go back to education. It's educating the end user on what they need. And the distributors are in a unique position where they could spend time with manufacturers, learning all the little tidbits and stuff that they need, and then bring it back to the end user. And, I find that, giving the customer multiple ways to make purchases, whether it's face-to-face, online, there's a lot of different ways that we can do this. But the distributors give information that I don't think is as easy accessible, and just the relationships. If I know how some of my customers work, I know what they're going to like and not like because I've been doing this for 20 plus years. So if something comes across my desk, I'm like, no, that department may or may not like it, but then I might want to steer in a different direction. We have different types of municipalities. We have villages, towns, cities, how they purchase, on contracts, not on contracts, go on a bid. There's so many variables with each department that I think it's just really important that a dealer knows that, where a manufacturer doesn't have all that local information. So I think it's just conversation and relationships. I really feel that's what distribution and dealership gives to the manufacturers.
James, what about you? That how important and what is the importance of having, like, for an OEM or of anything, to have a strong dealer network in place for the rest of how important is that for the rest of the fire service?
Sure, absolutely. If you're a small business, you do a lot of different jobs. You wear a lot of different hats. And over time, as you begin to grow, you realize that you may not be awesome at every task. So you begin to add people to your team, and maybe you like selling, but you don't like accounting, or maybe you like operations or whatever that is. So you build your business and you begin to add more people onto your team. But if you want to expand, you also realize that you need partnerships. So you grow that with partners, maybe they're suppliers, and you build up your supply chain base. That might be physical products, that might be services, that might be transportation logistics. You have a lot of business partnerships. Typically, the manufacturers are great at what they do, which is designing awesome products. And they spend a lot of time on engineering and focus or whatever, but they're not necessarily a great distributor, and they don't have feet on the street throughout the whole country. Maybe you're located in the Midwest, but listen, you're not available in the middle of the night, or you're not available to run out to California every time a board is meeting because they have questions, or they're going out to bid on a truck, or they need some help, or they need to measure whatever. So one of the underlying principles of why distribution is important is you want to have more feet on the street so that you have greater market penetration. In the military, they call that force multipliers. So we are taking that force of that manufacturer and we are multiplying it. And at some point, we'll talk a little bit too about it's more than just selling. It's more than just having feet on the street to be able to knock on doors. Distributors also add improvement on the marketing. Very often the distributors are better at marketing than the manufacturers. And there's also this business and operation back end that oftentimes distributors do really well and are more efficient than a manufacturer.
It's funny, when my fire company goes to our dealer, for whatever it is we're buying, I'm not sure that we are always sensitive to what you all are going through. Karen, walk me through some pain points that fire departments should be aware of when they come to you. We just went through, for example, one on, with the supply chain issues and things like that. But if there's a supply chain issue and you're not able to get me what I need when I need it, that's, you're not happy about that, at all. Because it's out of, those are the kind of things that are out of your control. Depending on the customer, they might, give you a hard time or whatever. But what are some of the pain points that fire departments should be aware of to just kind of keep in the back of their minds as they're coming to you to make a purchase as they interact with you?
Well, I find usually changes in the industry, NFPA changes. So if something changes 1970, we have the new standard coming out. So the hoods that they're going to have to buy they're completely different and a different price point. So those are things that I can help and talk to them early on about what's coming down the pike, changes that may occur down the road. The supply chain disruptions have been huge, during COVID and everything else. So just helping navigate that, letting them know where things stand. If you can't get this, I can offer you that. And it might take care of the same job, just in a slightly different way. Just training, education for a lot of the members, providing them as much information as possible. And then I think, just purchasing is unique in each different department. Like I said, the process of, how do I explain it? So like purchasing department might have a totally different thought process than what the firefighter has. The firefighter wants this. How do you get it? So being able as a distributor to be able to work with the purchasing department to give them what they need. So the firefighter or EMS or police at the end result, what they want. And that's just really trying to understand the different systems and how they work, contracts, bids, everything like that. So that to me, there's always something. And I always joke around, like, we fix one problem, we create another. So there's always something that's going to be a challenge. And if we can help the first responders work through that, that's what I love to do. I really try to make their life as easy as possible. And it can be challenging. It's extra phone calls. It's extra this, it's extra that. It's keeping inventory. It's making sure they have what they need when they need it. This is a pretty dangerous job, and you want to make sure they're as safe as possible and as prepared as possible without bothering them too much. But I feel there are pain points, but they're all workable, just in communication.
What about you, James? What do you encounter that that fire departments should know that that you're kind of dealing with on your end that they may not even be aware of, that's impacting how you're trying to serve them?
Sure. Karen touched on some of the main ones. Boy, it's a pain in the butt to talk to customers and let them know we've had price increases, or we have tariffs. All these product costs are going to go up. Or guess what? Your fire truck today costs $1 million, and it might take 3 or 4 years before you get delivery. That's a difficult message to be able to deliver to your customer, and you want to be able to smooth it over as much as possible. One of the solutions, or some of the solutions that distributors are able to help with, are more on the operations side, and I'll give you a couple examples on how we may be able to buffer some of those going forward. Karen touched on a little bit. We hold inventory. So if you're looking for a quicker delivery, you would go to a distributor because depending on the item, we may have it in inventory. Manufacturers don't want to do that. They want to commit all their space, all their manufacturing plants to making really good products and shipping it out the door. So we added a value by keeping here for immediate deliveries and better customer service than you'd have. Typically, manufacturers don't want to make small order shipments either. They would prefer to send a skid load of foam as opposed to one pail or one bucket. So distributors are able to accommodate large orders. They're able to accommodate small orders. I think also as price becomes more of a concern, because we're working with a lot of different manufacturers, we don't always have to say yes to everybody that comes to Darley that we want to resell. We can say no. And we can say no because we don't think your quality is necessarily as strong as we'd like. We can say no because your price is too high. We can say no because your deliveries stink. And our customers need this product. And if I'm waiting month after month or month, I can say no. If you work solely with a manufacturer, they would always tell you their products, their offering solutions are always the best. But as a distributor, we get a chance to really pick and choose a little bit. And we can be picky at times, and we can work on behalf of our customers to make sure that we're standing behind products that we really believe in and that we select along the way. We can do other things. We can get, perhaps in a lot of cases, better pricing than a manufacturer would offer because we're buying in volume and we're passing it on to the customer. We're also really good at logistics. So, for example, you might need 20 different items. We're able to package it all together and give you one shipment, which makes your invoicing, your billing, your questions, your support, everything else a heck of a lot easier if you're going from through distribution as opposed to the manufacturer. Manufacturers, from an operations standpoint, are also going to do some quality checks as it comes into our facilities. We're going to make sure it's working correctly and the piece count is received that you're going to get. We're going to run through those. We're going to make sure that it's compliance. We're going to push back if things don't meet certain standards. We're going to let our customers know about that. So we also mitigate risks, and sometimes there's concern of whether a customer is going to pay the manufacturer or not. So we take that burden, we take that risk off by making sure that we set up credits or open terms with a customer, make sure that we're responsible for those collections and payments. So there's a lot of pain that we take off manufacturers by working particularly with a large group of sometimes very small customers that have that credit risk, that are maybe more demanding. So we take the pressure off the factory in just lots and lots of ways, Chris.
Now, getting into FEMSA's role in all of this, Karen, could you talk to me about the FEMSA dealer section? Not only what it is and how it's made up, but also how fire departments can use the information that this section provides.
Well, so FEMSA is a very diverse group. There's a lot of different types of manufacturers within there. And we have a program where at our annual meeting, we break it off into sections. So we're more specific to what a smaller group of people that have certain concerns and things they want to talk about. So we have the dealer, distributor, manufacturer section, the DDM. And with the DDM, and it's evolved over the years. It used to just be dealers and distributors in the room and talking amongst themselves about challenges they may have with manufacturers or with insurance or running your business, billing. It could be anything. But it's different people from all over the country that come together, big distributors and small dealers. We come together to have a conversation to try to find solutions for our challenges. They have now since brought the manufacturers in there, which I think is great, because now we can talk about the relationship between the distributor and the manufacturer. And if there's things that are missing or there's miscommunication, or it allows them to all be together to talk about those pain points we talked about earlier and kind of come together. And so how that helps the end user, the firefighter, or the EMS worker, the police officer, is what it really does is it allows them to be heard through the dealer to the manufacturers. We were talking about earlier, you want to have that communication. When you're sitting in a room around a round table, you can really have candid conversations, and not over the phone, not over an email that might be read the wrong way. I've accomplished so much with my manufacturers at these meetings where it could have taken 2-3 days of back and forth. We just sat out and just, during a networking event or during that section, hey, my customer it really bothers him when your equipment does this. Could we do this? Oh yeah. Yeah, we could do that. Okay. I had no idea. So it's that relationship and education that we're able as distributors to bring back to the manufacturers to get them the end products that are really going to help these guys be and ladies successful down the road. So it's a great section. FEMSA does so many great things, but when we break off into these little sections, it really allows problem solving to occur. And I feel companies are able to move forward. I've gotten tips from people in Canada that I never even thought of doing, and they did it, and they'd be like, "Hey, Karen, will we do this?" I'm like, "Oh, that's a great idea," and I've implemented it in my business, and now that's how we do things. So I really feel those sections allow distributors and dealers to have better relationships with the end users, with their manufacturers, and helps us do our jobs better.
Before I let you both go, just wanted to see, and Karen, I'll start with you. Do you have any just general comments on how important the dealer role is in the fire service?
I think it's a necessity. I think there are certain things that you can go straight to a manufacturer for, but in the fire service, it's so relationship driven. I mean, it's just, which is why I love this industry so much. You get to know the end user. You talk to the firefighters, the first responders. I think distribution is allowing the end user to do their job quicker, better, safer, with a better education. Like, we're an asset to the manufacturers, I think. There's more of us on the ground, more boots on the ground. So I really do feel that distribution, like I said, we've been doing it in our company for almost 35 years, and it's been wonderful. And the communication has gotten so much better over the years, which is great through technology and everything else. But that one-on-one relationship of talking to people at the FEMSA annual meeting and having this group FEMSA together really, I think, benefits everyone involved.
James, how about you? Any general comments, any takeaways you want the audience to walk away with today?
Sure, a couple closing comments. And we didn't really touch about marketing so much, which is really, really critical. And I've found often over the years that the distributors actually are better on print and digital marketing. And I've worked selecting products for Darley and working with the vendors for a number of decades for our website and for our catalog and so forth. And very often I'm pounding them to improve their images or get some videos of this product or come up with different solutions and ideas. So I know if I'm looking at a product and I need to buy it online frequently, I'm going to go to Amazon because I'm going to get unbiased reviews. I'm going to look at other comments from other people that have bought that product. And I know they have a lot more information, a lot more in-depth information. So very often you're going to find distributors are better marketers than the manufacturers. So that is one other value add. Karen hit the nail on the head. People buy from people. At the end of the day, they will buy more people if they trust you, respect you. And today, people buy in different ways. There are some people that are more self-service, just prefer to buy on the internet, and God bless them. And we're trying to take advantage of those customers. We also realize there's other customers that won't make big ticket decisions unless you've sat down in a face-to-face meeting with them. If you haven't come over to the fire station and you've talked about different options, if it's turnout gear, maybe you talk to them about the outer shell, talk about advancements, to be able to measure the group. So those are really, really, really critical. You got to have a little bit, you have to sort of be an omni-channel, a multi-channel. You have to be able to say, we have a lot of different customers, they have different needs, and you better be on your game and be able to address them, whether it's low tech, high tech, or just hand holding. That's one of the things that distributors do. So I guess in summary, we are a one-stop shop. I think the world would be a much different place if there wasn't any distribution. I've got a list here of about 10 things in terms of where distributors add value. But when you sit down and you really think about it, appreciate it, it drives down costs. It gives you better service as a customer. and improves a lot in terms of the overall process and how business is done today. So I appreciate you inviting me. Again, this is the first time I've ever had a chance to talk to you online, and maybe you'll invite me back. Who knows?
I think so. We'll find another spot for you. Well, again, thank you both for joining me today. We have done a bunch of these FEMSA Focus episodes so far. So if you would like to go back and see some of the other things that we've talked about, Karen brought up NFPA 1970 a little while ago. We had one that addressed that specifically. You can go to www.fireapparatus.com/podcast. If you have a topic you'd like us to tackle here or in one of our other podcasts, on the site, let me know. I'm at chris.mcloon@clarionevents.com. So again, my thanks to James and Karen for sitting with me today to talk a little bit about dealers. Everyone, have a good one and stay safe. Thanks again.